As I predicted, Ghislaine Maxwell is making her move. She has Donald Trump cornered. Donald Trump has given her a golden ticket for a retrial, and she has positioned herself to try to get a pardon now from Donald Trump. We know in 2020, Donald Trump was considering pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell because she knew where the bodies were buried. She knew all of the secrets. And right now, as Donald Trump's in a total panic over the public's demand, release the Epstein files, Ghislaine knows where everything is. She holds the key. Congress wants Ghislaine Maxwell to testify now, and if she testifies, that will be Donald Trump's biggest nightmare scenario because she knows where the bodies are buried. And by the way, you don't have to even just believe me. Listen to Donald Trump's former lawyer, who was also Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz. He's been pushing right now Donald Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell or to commute her sentence. She's sentenced to over 20 years for her involvement in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. And he's out there just saying it in public. You need to pardon her. You need to reduce her sentence. Donald, she knows where the bodies are buried, Donald. You know what I mean, Donald. She knows everything. Yeah, look what he said. Dershowitz calls Ghislaine Maxwell the Epstein Rosetta Stone. Quote, she knows everything. So Dershowitz went on Fox, and here is what he said. He said, you know, she knows everything. She's the Rosetta Stone. She can testify. Why doesn't she testify? And my own view is, maybe if you give her a pardon, maybe if something else happens, maybe she doesn't have to test. Who knows? Here, listen to what Dershowitz says, though, in his own words. Play this clip.
You suggest she should be potentially offered congressional immunity to go and testify. Do you think that would happen? And what kind of information would she have that we haven't seen?
She knows everything. She is the Rosetta Stone. She knows everything. She arranged every single trip with everybody. She knows everything. And if she were just given use immunity, she could be compelled to testify. I'm told that she actually would be willing to testify, and there'd be no reason for her to withhold any information. So I don't see any negative in giving her the kind of use immunity that would compel her to testify. So she ought to be summoned in front of a congressional committee.
So then yesterday, Dershowitz was also on TMZ, and what he told them as well is he said, look, she should not be sentenced. She should not have been going to prison. She's been treated unfairly. This is Donald Trump's own former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, super close to Donald Trump. Dershowitz was also Epstein's lawyer. Dershowitz also got massages at Epstein's house, although he claims his underwear was on during those massages. But here's what Dershowitz said on TMZ. Listen to it and just think about what Ghislaine must be thinking right now while she's incarcerated. Here, play this clip.
Over the weekend, you said, and it sure made sense to me, that the key to this case is Ghislaine Maxwell, and that Congress should give her some form of use immunity to get her to talk, because you said she has all the secrets. My question to you is, what's in it for her to do that if all she gets is use immunity? What about cutting her a deal with the sentence she currently has?
Well, that should be done. The sentence she currently has is not a sentence that was really imposed on her. It was imposed on the dead Jeffrey Epstein. You don't get 20 years for being an assistant or a secretary, even if there were serious crimes. And she had nothing to do with any alleged trafficking. In any event, she should have her sentence commuted. She should be given total immunity, called before Congress, and she'll tell everything. She knows everything. She made all the reservations. When I had to fly down to represent him in front of the Palm Beach District Attorney's office or in front of the U.S. Attorney's office, she's the one who made the arrangements. She knows who was on his plane. She knows who was innocent. If there were any guilty people, she knows who they are. And if you gave her complete immunity and let her out of prison and made a deal with her, this would solve the problem forever.
Now, one of the things that I had previously speculated, although I don't know for sure, is that I said it was probably Ghislaine or somebody close to Ghislaine, a supporter of Ghislaine, a family member who ultimately gave the Wall Street Journal the leather-bound book where Donald Trump was one of many Epstein friends who wrote a birthday letter for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003, where Donald Trump talked about enigmas never age and our secrets will always remain together, Jeffrey. And Donald Trump claims, oh, I never wrote that because I never doodled before and I don't use the word enigma. And by the way, I've showed you on other MeidasTouch shows that I've done. Trump has said the word enigma many times. He doodles and draws all over again. And the Wall Street Journal's reporting on the letter with all of the other information that was in that leather-bound book seemed very well researched, at least in my opinion. But my point is, I thought that was a warning shot being sent by Ghislaine to Donald Trump saying, I'm the Rosetta Stone, Donald. I know where the bodies are buried, Donald. Here's just one example. Drip, drip, drip. Here's the leather-bound book with your letter talking about enigmas never age. At the time, young girls were being sex trafficked by Epstein, and some of those girls were found at Mar-a-Lago. Drip, 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 drip. So now you have other members of Congress, again, not just pushing for the release of these Epstein files, but saying Ghislaine should testify before Congress. Let's get it all out there. The same thing that you heard Dershowitz say, that she should testify and go before Congress and get immunity. Here is Thomas Massie, MAGA Republican Congress member, saying that Ghislaine should testify. We want her to testify. Let's bring her in front of the Judiciary and Oversight Committees. Here, play this clip.
Speaking of the women in prison, do you want Ghislaine Maxwell to testify here before Congress, have a hearing?
I'd love to see her testify.
Have you had a conversation?
I don't see what bad could come of somebody testifying, and I think that could possibly implicate other people and inform us of what we need to know.
Would that be a judiciary or an oversight committee function?
It would probably be judiciary or oversight. I used to serve on oversight. I now serve on judiciary. I'd like to see a joint committee hearing with judiciary.
Hey everybody, Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch Network. I wanted to let you know about my podcast partner, Michael Popak's new law firm. It's called the Popak Firm. Michael Popak's pursuing his dream of starting his own law firm, really based on the popular demand by all the Meidas Mighty and legal AFers who were approaching Michael Popak with their cases and saying, can you help us? And at that time, Popak was not able to. So he went out on his own. He started the Popak Firm, where he is now handling catastrophic injury cases like car accident cases, trucking cases, malpractice cases, big negligence cases, wrongful death cases. So if you or someone you know have a case like this, the consultation with Popak's firm is free. Give him a call. See if you have a case. It's thepopakfirm.com, thepopakfirm.com, or you can call 877-POPOK-AF, P-O-P-O-K-A-F. So 1-877-POPOK-AF. Give Michael Popak a call. And I'm really proud of you, Popak. Thanks for all the hard work you're putting in. Now, 5 days ago or so, MAGA Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, who's just taking orders from Donald Trump. But he claimed a while ago, I think we want transparency. I think that we're okay with Ghislaine Maxwell testifying. He said this with Benny Johnson, the right-wing MAGA extremist podcaster. So first, let me show you MAGA Mike saying that he would be good with Ghislaine testifying. That was 6 days ago. But then I'll show you what he's doing right now. And I'll do a whole other video on this as well, how he's shutting down Congress. Check out the video I'm going to do after this on the MeidasTouch feed. He's shutting down Congress because actually on a bipartisan basis now, Democrats and Republicans want to vote to release a lot of these files. Not all Republicans, but MAGA Mike's trying to block that by shutting down Congress. So first, here he is with Benny Johnson. Let's play it.
Hear about it. That concerns either testifying or testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially before Congress, or if you would support members like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Anna Paulina Luna on the release of subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Marjorie or Anna about that specific subject, but I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. We look, Reagan used to tell us, we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to.
Okay, that was him on Benny Johnson, right? Yeah, we want transparency. Well, he's now putting Congress into recess. He's shutting down congressional business. So in his own words, he says, I want to give, quote, Donald Trump space to do what he is doing. I want to give him the space to do what needs to be done. MAGA Mike Johnson saying, I want to give him the space that needs to be done. You have Epstein and Trump's lawyer saying Ghislaine Maxwell should get a pardon, or alternatively, she should testify. Suspicious. Here, play this clip.
For the August recess.
So here's what I would say about the Epstein files. There is no daylight between the House Republicans, the House, and the president on maximum transparency. He has said that he wants all the credible files related to Epstein to be released. He's asked the Attorney General to request the grand jury files of the court. All of that is in process right now. My belief is we need the administration to have the space to do what it is doing. And if further congressional action is necessary or appropriate, then we'll look at that. But I don't think we're at that point right now because we agree with the president.
So no vote on this resolution before August recess.
We had this.
And then you have kind of the Donald Trump state regime media host like Mark Levin. That's how he talks. I'm Mark Levin. So he brings on MAGA Mike Johnson, and it's not even really an interview. It's really like Donald Trump filtering his words to MAGA Mike Johnson. So Mark Levin's like, we better be united on this, Mike. We better be united. We got to move past this Epstein stuff. Don't talk about Epstein anymore. You understand? How weird is this? Here, play this clip.
Cycle.
We have a lot to run on, and you have a lot to run against, given the other party. But I will tell you this, we better be united, we better be strong, we better be focused, we better be articulate. We can't waste our time on Epstein and other stuff that are going on here that some people want us to focus on. I've about had it with all that stuff. We better focus on who we are, what we're doing, where we want to take the country, and what they want to do to the country. Mr. Speaker, God bless you, my friend. I appreciate you very, very much.
You too, Mark. Thanks for all you do. God bless.
Now, when we talk about what the Rosetta Stone means, Ghislaine knew all about what went down in Mar-a-Lago. She was with Epstein when Epstein she would find the young girls for Epstein at Mar-a-Lago, bring the little girls to Epstein. Like the girls would get jobs like Virginia Giuffre, towel girl. She was homeless. She got the job as a towel girl at Mar-a-Lago. And then you had Ghislaine go to Mar-a-Lago because Epstein and Ghislaine just lived right down the block from Trump. They'd walk over, find the girl, bring her to Epstein. That's what happened with Virginia Giuffre. And then Epstein would bring little girls to show off in front of Donald Trump. You like this one? You like this one? And that came out in other litigation as well. And then Donald Trump would have, 20, 30 girls, beauty pageants of indeterminate age. After he'd do a beauty pageant, he'd have them show up, and the party at Mar-a-Lago would basically be Trump, Epstein, and like 30 girls of indeterminate age at Mar-a-Lago. I showed you another video, right, of a celebrity, the rapper Uncle Luke from 2 Live Crew. He went to one of those parties. It was him, Mike Tyson, and Eddie Murphy. And they show up, and Uncle Luke's like, these girls look really young. I gotta leave. At a Trump party. That's what would go down. So just so you hear in their own words, here's Virginia Giuffre. She's since died by suicide. She was 17 years old, underage girl, working at Mar-a-Lago as a towel girl, recruited to be sex trafficked by Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. Happened at Mar-a-Lago. It's out there. It's undisputed that this took place. Here, play this clip.
Virginia Roberts was working in the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach when British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell introduced her to multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
The training started immediately. I mean, it was everything down to how to give a blowjob, how to be quiet, be subservient, give Jeffrey what he wants. A lot of this training came from Ghislaine herself. And being a woman, it kind of surprises you that a woman could actually let stuff like that happen, but not only let it happen, but to groom you into doing it. And then there's Jeffrey, who's telling you, I want it this way. No, go slower and don't do that and do this.
You know, and then I go back to this lawsuit that was filed by a 14-year-old girl. She's now a woman, but at the time she was a 14-year-old girl when the incident took place. And this was a lawsuit filed against Epstein in 2020. And you go to paragraph 17, and it said, during one of Doe's encounters with Epstein, he took her to Mar-a-Lago, where he introduced her to its owner, Donald Trump. Introducing 14-year-old Doe to Donald J. Trump, Epstein elbowed Trump playfully, asking him, referring to the 14-year-old girl, Jane Doe, "This is a good one, right?" Trump smiled and nodded in agreement. They both chuckled, and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. You know, and this lawsuit filed by this 14-year-old Jane Doe talked about how in the summer of 1994, Jane Doe met Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at an arts camp in Michigan. She was only 13 years old. Doe was a student in the voice program. She was sitting alone in a bench between the classes when Epstein and Maxwell approached her. Epstein bragged about being a patron of the arts and giving scholarships to talented young artists like Doe. Epstein and Maxwell probed her at length about her background, family situation, and where she lived. They would try to prey on very vulnerable young girls. And then they brought her to Florida, into Palm Beach. And that's when they started sexually assaulting her. And then they brought her over to Trump, and they showed her in paragraph 17. It talks about how they showed her off to Donald Trump. And then, you know, it may be the same 14-year-old girl, it may be another 14-year-old girl. In Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking case, there was a 14-year-old girl, Jane Doe, who also said that she was introduced to Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. So if these files get released, like, we would know where to look and where to find, you know, all of these things. Also, Ghislaine Maxwell's family previously sent a letter to Donald. Honor your deals, Donald, is what they said. They said, you know, look, your former labor secretary, who was the United States attorney federal prosecutor during the relevant period of time, entered into a non-prosecution contract with Epstein and Ghislaine. And the deal was they couldn't be prosecuted, and their co-conspirators couldn't be prosecuted. You like deals, don't you, Donald? You should honor your deals. That's what they're saying. And then one of Ghislaine's biggest supporters is one of those top MAGA influencers who goes to the White House often. Her name is Jessica Reed Krause, and she's got the free Ghislaine Maxwell gear. She held those Phase 1 binders. When the Trump regime tried to pretend they were releasing the Epstein files, but they really weren't. And, you know, she's there advocating right now for Donald Trump for a retrial or a pardon. So, you know, Ghislaine has put on this offensive from prison, and, you know, you see what's going on. You know, Trump's own lawyer saying retrial, pardon. She knows where the bodies are buried. Wink, wink, wink. Hit subscribe. It's right there. I mean, you know, I'm not like, you see the tapes. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.